Hey everybody, happy 4th of July, or better yet, happy late 4th of July, because by the time you see this, it's not going to be 4th of July. Yeah. Anyway, so this is the Dark Sage deck. This deck was requested by one of my fellow viewers, and I figured, hey, I could take a smack at that. He's also the one that requested the Dragon Master Knight deck, so yeah. I also have another deck in the work, but we're not going to talk about all that right now. So anyways, for anyone that doesn't know what a Dark Sage deck is, I'm just going to give you a brief description of what it is. It's basically this guy right here, and what his thing is that you have to have a Dark Magician on the field, and you have to have a Time Wizard on the field. You have to activate Time Wizard's effect, and then you call it right, you can tribute Dark Magician and bring this guy out, and this guy basically can search any spell card in the game, so pretty good. So anyways, enough talking about the deck and how good it is. Let's actually talk about the cards in the deck, shall we? So right here we have 3 Dark Magicians. You could run 2 if you think this is a little bit too, confined or a little too much Dark Magician, but I think 3 is fine. I like to use what I like to do with it is try to throw it in the grave by using Lavalval Chain or whatever, and then I like to basically get it back with Daigusto Emerald, or I use Skilled Dark Magician, or whatever. Magical Dimension also works too, which is pretty nice. So yeah. So, this is one of the key components to Dark Sage, so obviously you're gonna have to run it, so. Next up we have 3 Breaker Magical Warrior. Basically I went with a Chaos build, which is the Dark and the Light type, so I decided to go with Breaker here. Breaker, his thing is you normal summon him, he gets a counter, he gains 300. So at this point you can basically attack over most of the level 4s in the game. And yeah. So the other reason I have him is for backrow destruction. He's really neat. He's a spellcaster and he works with the field spell, but we won't go into field spell yet. So yeah. Next up we went going with Chaos Sorcerer. Now some people might be like, why aren't you running BLS, Black Luster Soldier? It's obviously a better card than Chaos. And in many perspectives, yes, it really is a better card. In this perspective of where it's a spellcaster deck, you're gonna run Chaos Sorcerer over everything else. So yeah. What I mean by that is that most of the things are spellcaster based things you know how spellcaster or spellbooks need a spellcaster? This is what I meant. All the tech is for spellcasters, he's a spellcaster, it works. If you want to run Blackluster, it's fine, but I think Chaos Sorcerer is better suit for this certain type of deck because of spellcaster themes, so, and if anyone doesn't know, he banishes a face-up monster on the field. So, yeah, a thing you need to watch out for is if you don't have any other face-up monsters, or there's no face-up monsters on the field except for him, he will end up banishing himself, so be careful. And another thing is that you can bring him back from the grave if you brought him out by banishing a light in the dark. Not too many people know that. Just letting you guys know that now, so if you ever somehow bring him out from the grave. Next up we have Dark Sage. We're only running 1 because it gets too clunky or cloggy with more than 1 Dark Sage. The thing is, it's allowed to be brought out from the deck or your hand. So basically you don't need to have it in your hand at the start of the duel. It's not like a bunch of other cards where it's oh, it's not like rituals basically where you need to have the ritual card in your hand and then you need to activate advanced ritual art or something. Dark Sage is where it's from the deck or the hand, so running 1 is fine. The only problem with running 1 though is if it gets sent to the grave and you don't have anything to bounce it back in the deck, you basically don't get Dark Sage. But basically if you happen to get out Dark Sage, you're pretty much won the duel. No joke. Like, if you use a time wizard and you get the effect right, you're most likely blowing up every one of your opponent's monster zone. And you basically bring this card out for 300 more attack. But it does get you a free spell. It's like you blew up your opponent's whole field. You're basically usually gonna get like game if you're at this point where you're gonna get this guy out. But it's really easy to get this guy out because Dark Magician is really easy to get out too. So, easy peasy and stuff. So you might be like, what do I get in this deck? Well, other than the side deck, which we'll go over in a little while, I like to go for the Magic Dimensions because it's really nice. Because you go for Magic Dimension, attack with Dark Sage and Time Wizard, then you go Magic Dimension, get rid of Time Wizard, and you most likely, because you're running 3 of these, you can bring out a Dark Magician, and then you have a 2,500, so you have, let's see, 3,000, 5,800 damage. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you're pretty much going to end the duel at that point. And you might be like, okay, well, what if I already have the Magic Dimensions? Well, then I like to go for the Dark Hole, the Lure of Darkness, or the Secret Village, or Wonder Wand for the more draw power. So, anything. Pod Duality I like to avoid, though, because it just stops the special summoning. And also you can't even activate it if you get Dark Sage out anyways, so Pod Duality is useless if you bring out Dark Sage that turn. Anyways, we have 2 Defender. Defender is really nice. Many people don't remember this card too much because it's not really relevant now because it's only 1600 and there's other better spellcasters. But basically you summon him, he gets a counter, and if a spellcaster would be destroyed, you remove the counter to protect it. That's it. It could be anywhere in your field, I think. Yeah. Anywhere there's a spell counter. You might be like, why don't I go with a spell counter deck? Well, the fact of the spell counter decks, like the Royal Magical Library into Yugioh kind of things, is that you get a bunch of draw. Like, you have Pod Duality. Well, you don't run Pod Duality. You run like Bamboo Sword, Broken Bamboo Sword, and all that. But then you don't have enough room to actually run the spells that matter. So you'd be like, oh, heh, I can draw all these cards. Okay, Dark Sage. Oh wait, I don't have a spell that's even useful in this situation. I'll just draw another card or something. And at that point, if you're running that kind of engine anyways, you might as well just be playing Yugioh. Like, that's just my opinion on it. So yeah, Defender's really nice. You can train him out for the Light Magician that prevents the opponent from attacking if you have 2 of them out. So, like how there's 2 Marauding Captains, prevents, the Marauding Lock and all that. The 2 Magicians that do that, you can run it in place of these, but I feel like Defender is kind of really good in this deck. Next up we have 2 Veiler. I thought about running Phoenix Chain, but really I decided Royal Decree might be more beneficial. So I thought about Chalice, but Chalice, we already have a bunch of spells. So we went with Veiler. Veiler is a spellcaster, is a tuner, so it's really nice, and it negates an effect on the field, so, really good. Also puts a light in the grave, so you can't really go wrong with that, The only downside, it has 0 attack, but really, you're mostly going to either synchro or you're going to negate an effect. That's as simple as that. Next up, we have 2 Skill Dark Magician. You might be like, why not 3? I personally feel like that it doesn't really do much for the deck. I mean, yeah, 2 is fine. You summon out, get 3 spell counters, which this is really nice because if you get the spell counters and then you get Defender out, you can use the spell counters from this guy to help out Defender. But really, it doesn't feel like you don't really need to use this guy too much. I mean, he's really nice if you can get the spells and use them, but mostly I'm using him for an XYZ. And if I don't use him for an XYZ and I just use a bunch of spells, I mean, basically I usually have Magic Dimension and I get rid of him anyways, so it's really not like he is too relevant. He has 1900 attack, so it does get over Thunder King, which stops you from searching and yada yada yada. So yeah, the attack is nice, but I wouldn't really run him at 3 because he doesn't really do too much other than build up the spell counters and, you know. And in this type of deck, I'm trying to like stun lock the opponent, so it kind of thins them out even more. So, 2 Summoner Monk, I think this is a must. He lets you go into a rank 4 really easy, and you just discard a spell and bring out a level 4 monster. You might ask why there's no Prisma in the deck either. I feel like Prisma just slows down the deck because it's not a spellcaster, and you might be like, why is that a thing? Because of the fact that I'm running Secret Village, and that if I use Prisma and I draw into Prisma and Secret Village, and my opponent is still allowed to play spells because I can't do anything with Prisma, and that. Yeah, I could get Dark Magic attack, and yeah, I can get Prisma with Dark Magician and blow up the back row, but really, I don't think it's really needed if you can get out Secret Village in the first place. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, rank 4s, or you can use it on this guy to get Dark Magician out by getting him 3 spell counters, which is really nice because if you use this effect, the monster you bring out can't attack. But if you use like 3 spell cards and bring out Dark Magician, then you have a Dark Magician that can attack. So keep in mind, if you bring out Defender or Breaker, their effects don't go off because they're not normal summoned. Next up we have 2 Time Wizard. 2 is fine. He's really weak in attack. He's really not something that I would go into unless if it's the last like straw or I have like nothing else I can do. So yeah, running 3, I don't really want to draw into him, but if I draw into him, I at least only have like 1 or something, and we'll talk about how you bring him out easy in this deck anyways. So yeah, Time Wizard, you flip a coin. If you call it wrong, you destroy all monsters you control. If you call it right, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And you also take half damage of the total attack for your monsters if you call it wrong. I know I mixed up the effects so much, but you basically know Time Wizard if you've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, yeah, 2 of them is fine. 3 is a little too much. I personally don't like 3 of them because I feel like they don't do too much other than just pop the field. So, you know, it's like a dark hole. If you weren't doing Dark Sage, I would take these out, but since I am, I'm putting at least 2 in. Also, I'm really terrible at coin flip based decks, if you ever seen my gambling deck video. So, yeah. So don't suspect me to bring out like a really good duel of this deck. I mean, I bring out Dark Sage easy enough, but don't suspect like the best duel, because, you know, it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to get him out, because Time Wizard, yeah, and second coin toss, but really, we'll go into that later. Alert Darkness, you draw 2, banish the dark. You're running a bunch of darks, so you can basically draw. I wanted to like draw, like that's the whole point. Just draw a bunch of cards, get what I need, and activate them. Dark Hole, no introduction, it destroys all monsters. 2 Magic Dimensions, I think 2 is fine. If you could fit in 3, then go right ahead, but I feel like 2 is fine. All you need to do is control a spellcaster, target 1 monster you control, and then tribute it. You can tribute Summoner Monk if you were curious. So anyways, you tribute your monster, you special summon a spellcaster, and you destroy 1 monster in the field. Well, or I can destroy a monster in the field. So basically, when I use this, I usually get it with this Dark Sage, and then I go attack with Dark Magician. Well, I go attack with Time Wizard, attack with Dark Sage, activate Magic Dimension, bring out Dark Magician, attack. You're dealing 5,800 damage right there. you know, you're pretty much going to win the game if you did that anyways, like get the Time Wizard and all that out. But if you did like first turn and yada yada, you're still doing 5,800 damage. So yeah. So anyways, really nice. And also it really isn't too relevant due to the fact that, well, it really doesn't, the last part of it where it destroys a monster isn't relevant due to Time Wizard if it activated its effect and destroyed everything anyways. But Magic Dimension is too good not to run, and it's quick play, so. 2 Mystical Space to get rid of back row, enough said. You can run Forbidden Lance if you like Lance better, but I think getting rid of back row might be a little better, you know. I don't know. Forbidden Lance can get rid of stuff, but it's up to you. I like Mystical Space Typhoon right now. 3-pod Duality lets me search, so, you know, get like anything in the deck when it's revealed. Also, an artifact, if you feel like breakers are good enough MST, then use Forbidden Lance. Next up we have Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and basically I run 3 of these. Now if you control a spellcaster, your opponent can't activate any spells unless they control a spellcaster. But if you control no spellcasters, you get no monster or spell cards. So that's why every monster in this deck is a spellcaster monster, because if I've drawn to a monster that isn't a spellcaster, then this card is going to be useless. Next up we have 2 Terraforming. Basically lets me search out this, and also if I really need to, I can use Dark Sage to bring it out too. So yeah. And 2 Wonder Wand. I really like this card in this deck. You get 500 more attack, and if you just want to tribute off the monster, you draw 2 cards. What do I use this for? I use it for Time Wizard. Time Wizard with Wonder Wand, really good. Blows up your opponent monsters, do 1,000, 3,800 damage. Get rid of Dark Sage you want to get Dark Magician. So you have 6,300 damage. Activate Wonder Wand, draw 2 cards. I don't know what else to do, but like there's so much draw power in this. You got the lore, the Wonder Wands, and the Pod Duality is not really drawing, but you know what I mean. So you're really just like broken at this point. So yeah, trust me, you're gonna love it. Next up we have Magician's Circle. We run 3 of them, and this is where it gets really nice. Okay, so we get Time Wizard out with Magician's Circle or any of the spellcasters basically. What you do is you attack. You activate Magician's Circle. Hopefully your opponent's not running spell books, but you know, you attack, you activate this, and then you both can bring out a spellcaster at 2,000 or attack or lower. So you bring out Time Wizard, they bring out if they have anything. They might just have Effect Veiler and bring out Effect Veiler. Oh yeah, that's kind of nice too, because they can't, like, they have to summon it out. They can't choose not to. Unless it... Oh my gosh, it has to be face-up attack too? Oh man, this card is actually kind of broken. But anyways, yeah. So that's another reason why spellcasters are... why this whole deck's all spellcaster too. So yeah, it's an easy way to get out Time Wizard. That's basically why it's in here. You can run Shining Angel, but then again, the Shining Angel is a fairy and it slows down the deck. And last but not least, we got 3 Royal Decree. 3 Royal Decree is to go with the Secret Village, and this negates all their traps. So if you have Dark Sage out, you have no need for Adventure's Circle. I mean, you kinda do, but not really. So you just negate all your opponent's traps, and you negate all their spells with Secret Village. Simple as that. Okay, so now with the extra deck. I'm not going to really go into the cards too much, but, you know, I'll go over what I think is good or not. So, Cataster and Armides, pretty much a good level 5 synchros. I always run them if I need level 5s, so, you know, take my word, if you need level 5 synchros, you use them. Arcanite I like to use because it is a card that you special summon or synchro summon place 2 counters, gets 1000 attack for each, and then you can blow up stuff on the field. You know, a lot of blowing up in this deck. So if you don't feel like, if you need like the nuke the whole field, you can use Black Rose. Then you can also go into Scrap Dragon by using Dark Magician and Effect Failure. And the 7 is Chaos Sorcerer and Effect Failure. So yeah. 2 Digustos because he gets Dark Magician from the grave and also lets you reset. Ouroboros just there for Ouroboros. Cowboys to end the game. Chain is to throw Dark Magician in the grave. Mistroke is there for Mistroke. I threw this in here because of the fact that I can get 2 level 7s. So I basically have Big Eye because Big Eye is the most broken, I think, out of the 2. If you want to, you can run Draco Sack, but Big Eye plus Secret Village plus Royal Decree basically wins you the game. Black Ship, you have to run Black Ship because in the game there's at least 10 out of 20 players that are running some stupid stall thing, and Black Ship is the only thing that gets over it. And Master Key Beetle, the protector stuff, I don't really care about that. If I had 101, I would run it in here. So for the extra deck, Black Luster for Chaos, if you feel like it. Dark Orange, you run enough Darks. Exodius recycles the monsters, so if you end up getting everything in the grave, you can just bring it back to your deck. In the Spellcaster, you know. Lightning Vortex is just an example of spells you can use that destroy stuff on your opponent's side of the field. If you need more Dark Holes, Night Beam, same kind of situation, where it gets rid of the back row, but without activating it. 7 Sacred Sword of 7 stars. I think I ran that because I had Dark Arms and Dark Magicians. But, you know, you can run it if you need more draw power for whatever reason. Spellbook of Power, I decided to go with 1 because it only increases by 1000. Then you can add a Spellbook. Spellbook of Wisdom, however, you can add this with the the Dark Sage, and you basically have ability to be unaffected by spells or by traps. So, you know, it's really good. Really good. And for those people that decide to keep running stall, I have Red Dragon Archfiend, which gets rid of their defense row like monsters. And no joke, I was battling like someone who had like 2 Marshmallons, and it was the stupidest thing ever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just blow up your defense. And this for if you bring out 2 Exodius for whatever reason. There's only 1, but you know, send there just in case. So my thoughts on the deck really quick. So the deck, like, it's definitely 8 out of 10. It's more like a power tool, Morphtronic kind of deck where it goes through equip spells and you can, like, it's like a toolbox deck. Basically, it lets you go through and get stuff that you want. So yeah, I think it's really nice. You can do this deck however you want. I think this is personally like one of the best ways to run Dark Sage, in my opinion. You could run a Spellbook variant, which is also another really good one. If you want to do the spell counter one, it's not really recommended, because if you're running the spell counters, you might as well just play Exodia, or you might as well play Tempest Magician. There's no reason to really run it with Dark Sage. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't need to explain anymore. Sorry for the long wait on this deck. Took a lot of practice, a lot of editing, a lot of blah blah blah, and I finally get it to how I like it. And I really love this deck. Am I going to use it very often? Not really. I like to play Medulces or something, but for like those times when, you know, I just want to play a fun deck, I'll probably play this because, you know, I can switch it up, switch out spells for spells. You know, that's like what like most decks should be, where you can switch out stuff, use other stuff, and re-equip to do whatever you need to do whatever's. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave your comments section down below. Tell me your thoughts. If you feel like you can change something in the deck, let me know what you would change, what you want to keep in, what you keep out. I think I did pretty good, but I like to hear your thoughts down below. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Dragox55 signing out, and I will catch you guys next time.